There's been bad blood between these two bands for at least the last 3 years, ever since Guns guitarist Izzy Stradlin reportedly put some rude moves on Neil's wife, the former exotic performer Sharise, at a Los Angeles rock club called the Cat House. Several months later, when Stradlin and Rose made an appearance at the MTV Video Music Awards show, Neil was lying in wait when they came off stage and hit Stradlin with a sucker punch. Then, in an interview with MTV News that aired last September, Rose had this to say about Neil.
It's funny because Izzy's like going, because people think it's going to happen sooner or later or whatever, and it's like that Vince and I'll get into it or something, you know, and Izzy laughs because he's like, that guy, you know, had a full-on free shot, you know, and hit like a powder puff.
In the year 1987, both Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses were on top of the world. They had toured together when Guns opened for Motley on the Girls 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 tour. That same year, Crue vocalist Vince Neil met his soon bride-to-be, aspiring model Sharise Radal, who would also appear in the Girls 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 video. In 1988, Sharise and her friend Brandy Brandt were hanging out backstage at the Cat House nightclub on Sunset Strip in Los Angeles with owner Riki Rachtman and Guns guitarist Izzy Stradlin. It would be events that unfolded that night that would trigger one of the most notorious feuds ever in rock and roll history. Let's first hear Riki Rachtman's version of exactly what happened that night at the Cat House.
Riki recalls in a 2023 podcast. So we were hanging out in the DJ booth. In comes Brandy and Sharise, Rachtman explained. Izzy, who at the time was pretty fucked up, saw Sharise. And he just grabbed her boobs out of nowhere. I was shocked. Brandy and Sharise were as well. From what I recall, Sharise smacked Izzy. Rachtman admitted that he should have intervened, but instead, just stood there bewildered. He said that Stradlin deserved to be hit for grabbing her boobs, but that he didn't remember any other physical assault between the two parties.
Sharise remembers the incident somewhat different, as a much more violent attack.
Sharise recalls in a 2023 podcast. I was at the Cat House and Izzy was hitting on me, the model explained. He was all fucked up. I told him to get his hands off me because I was Vince's wife. Then he grabbed my shirt and pulled it down. I slapped him across the face, and he karate kicked me as hard as he could in the stomach. He knocked the wind out of me. And everyone saw it.
Vince Neil, who by this point had been seething for several months over the incident, decided to confront Izzy after he stepped off stage following a performance with Tom Petty.
When Izzy walked off stage, looking like a cross between Eric Stoltz in Mask and Neil Young, I was waiting for him, Vince Neil wrote in Motley Crue's autobiography, The Dirt. You fucking hit my wife. So fucking what? He spat. All my blood rushed into my fist, and I decked him. I decked him good, right in the face. He fell to the ground like a tipped cow. After the punch, Guns N' Roses manager and sound engineer pulled Vince Neil away, but just moments later he was confronted by AXL ROSE. Axl came snarling after us like an overdressed Doberman, Vince recalled. Come on motherfucker. I'm going to fucking kill you, he yelled at our backs. Vince should be careful about what golf courses he's mouthing off about Axl on and who he's playing golf with. When he goes out playing golf and he mouths off about AXL and he happens to be playing golf with people that work for me, stories come back, AXL ROSE declared, adding that the band didn't pursue legal action because it would be too much trouble. Izzy laughs because he's like, that guy had a full-on free shot and hit like a powder puff, the Guns N' Roses frontman continued. Anytime he wants to fight, anywhere. Atlantic City, I don't care. We'll put some money on it. I don't care. And then he tried to turn around and say the same thing. But the invitation is still there. I'm easy to find. I tell ya, he's gonna get a good ass whipping and I'm the boy to give it to him, AXL told British music journalist Mick Wall in 1990. AXL raged on, standing in the living room of his West Hollywood home in a wrinkled t-shirt and jeans, while Wall took it all down. But that's the gauntlet, and I'm throwing it down, AXL continued. Hey, Vince, whichever way you want to go, man. Guns, knives, or fists, whatever you want to do, I don't care. He said a lot of bad things about me the last few years and a lot of threats. Even on one of your guys' shows before the MTV Awards. He said, well, anytime, any place. And right now, I want to put an end to this, and what I want is, AXL, if you are watching this, I want to challenge you to a fight. I'm gonna give you time and I'm gonna give you the place. There's no backing out now, buddy. It's time to put up or shut up, Vince said in an infamous interview. I'd like to do it at an arena where people can come and see. I'd like to have it televised. I want the whole world to see this fight. I think it's gonna be great. I'm really psyched for it because I need to put an end to this. It'll end it once and for all, the bad blood between us. So let's do it. Men should do it, Vince stated. In 1991, AXL commented in an interview, "Whatever became of that? Well, Vince Neil made his challenge and it was a publicity stunt, you know. And he was pretty much a puppet, who doesn't really know how he got where he got. But, you know, there's other people behind him that kinda put him up to something." He continued by revealing how he'd issued an ultimatum for Vince Neil. And the situation I have with Vince Neil is not about a pay-per-view, it's not about a publicity stunt. So I issued him a challenge, I sent him a challenge, that, you know, wherever he wanted to fight to the death in another country, I'd pay for the round trip in a coffin. And I haven't heard from him since. AXL then further detailed his claims regarding how he felt Vince was a puppet. But the real thing is pretty much with the people that are behind him, and they know who they are. And if they've got a problem, the offer stands with them, too.
A media frenzy followed immediately after Vince's infamous interview, but weirdly nothing ever happened. The feud swiftly faded into history.
Decades later, Vince Neil wrote in the dirt that AXL ROSE sent little messengers telling him to meet in the parking lot of Tower Records on Sunset or the boardwalk of Venice Beach. The Crue frontman claimed to have accepted every challenge, but AXL chickened out about a half dozen times. AXL ROSE has never corroborated those claims. After the release of long-awaited album Chinese Democracy in 2008, Vince Neil commented to The Sun, "To fail was pretty crazy after so many years of it being recorded. I heard one track, then it just disappeared off the radio. Then the tour got cancelled. A buddy of mine went to play guitar for him. They rehearsed for 3 months and AXL never once turned up." In 2023, Vince posted a Facebook sneer at AXL ROSE, after his Guns N' Roses counterpart was described as the world's best singer. Rose had admitted he was flattered after an analysis of vocal abilities concluded he had the widest range among leading recording artists, although he refused the tag of the greatest. But Vince, who seemingly had only heard the first part of the story, commented, "News just said AXL ROSE is the greatest singer of all time? LOL. The post was removed soon afterwards.